Medieval India, page number 106. The Struggle for Empire in North India, Part 1. The rulers of Bengal had also to contend with Odisha. During the period of Sultanate rule over the Bengal, the Ganga rulers of Odisha had raided Radha, South Bengal, and even made an attempt to conquest of Lakhnauti. However, these attacks had been repulsed. At the beginning of his reign, Ilyas Shah raided Jajnagar, Odisha. It is said that overcoming all opposition, he advanced up to Chika Lake and returned with a rich booty, including a number of elephants. A couple of years later, in 1360, while returning from his Bengal campaign, Firoz Tughlaq also raided Odisha. He occupied the capital city, massacred a large number of people, and desecrated the famous Jagannath temple. These two raids destroyed the prestige and royal dynasty. In due course, a new dynasty called the Gajapati dynasty came to fore. The Gajapati rulers marks a brilliant phase in Odisha history. The rulers were great builders and warriors. The Gajapati rulers were mainly instrumental in extending their rule in south towards Karnataka. As we have seen, this brought them into conflict with Vijayanagara, the Reddis, and the Bahmani sultans. Perhaps one reason why Gajapati rulers preferred aggrandizement in south was their feeling that the sultans Bengal were too strong to be easily dislodged from the Bengal Odisha border. But the Odisha rulers could not hold on to their southern conquest for the length of time due to the power and capability of the Vijayanagar and the Bahmani rulers. In Bengal, the Odisha frontier at this time was the river Saraswati, which then carried much of the water of the Ganga. Thus, a large part of Midnapur district and a part of Hooghly district were included in Odisha territories. There is some evidence that the Odisha rulers tried to extend their control up to Bhagirathi, but were soon compelled to retreat. Some of the sultans of Bengal, including Alauddin Hussain Shah, made raids into Odisha which extended up to Puri and Cuttack. Intermittent fighting also went on the frontier. However, the rulers of Bengal were not able to dislodge the Odishan rulers from their frontiers or to gain any territory beyond the river Saraswati. The one Odishan rulers were able to engage successfully that the Odishan rulers were able to engage successfully in battles at the same time in such far-flung areas as Bengal and Karnataka testifies to their strength and prowess. Western India, Gujarat, Malwa and Mewar. On account of excellence and its handicrafts and flourishing seaports as well as richness of the soil, Gujarat was one of the richest provinces of the Delhi Sultanate. Under Firoz Tughlaq, Gujarat had a benign governor who, according to Ferishta, encouraged the Hindu religion and thus promoted rather than suppressed the worship of idols. He was succeeded by Zafar Khan, whose father Sahadran was a Rajput who was converted to Islam and had given his sister in marriage to Firoz Tughlaq. After Timur's invasion of Delhi, both Gujarat and Malwa became independent in all but name. However, it was not till 1407 that Zafar Khan formally proclaimed himself the ruler with the title Muzaffar Shah. The real founder of the kingdom of Gujarat was, however, Ahmad Shah I, 1411 to 1443, the grandson of Muzaffar Shah. During his long reign, he brought the nobility under control, settled the administration, and expanded and consolidated the kingdom. He shifted the capital from Pathan to the new city of Ahmedabad, the foundation of which he laid in 1413. He was a great builder and beautified the town with many magnificent palaces and bazaars, mosques and madrasas. He drew on the rich architectural traditions of the Jains of Gujarat to devise a style of building which was markedly different from Delhi. Some of its features are slender turrets, execute stone carvings, and highly ornate brackets. The Jama Masjid in Ahmedabad and the Tin Darwaza are fine example of the style of architecture of his time. Ahmad Shah tried to extend his control over the Rajput states in the Saurashtra region, as well as those located on the Gujarat Rajasthan border. In Saurashtra, he defeated and captured the strong fort of Girnar, but restored it to Raja on his promise to pay tribute. He then attacked Sidhpur, the famous Hindu pilgrim center, and leveled to the ground many of the beautiful temples there. He imposed jizya on the Hindus in Gujarat, which had never been imposed on them earlier. All these have led many medieval historians to hail Ahmad Shah as a great enemy of the infidels, while many modern historians have called him a bigot. The truth, however, appears to be more complex. While Ahmad Shah acted as a bigot in ordering the destruction of Hindu temples, he did not hesitate to induct Hindus in government. Manik Chand and Moti Chand belonged to the Baniya or commercial community, were ministers under him. He was so strict in his justice that he had his own son in law executed in the marketplace for a murder he had committed. Although he fought the Hindu rulers, he fought no less the Muslim rulers of the time, particularly the Muslim rulers of Malwa. He subordinated the powerful fort of Idar and brought the Rajput states of Jhalawar, Bundi, Dungapur, etc. under his control. From the beginning, the kingdoms of Gujarat and Malwa were bitter rivals and were generally found in opposite camps on almost every occasion. Muzaffar Shah had defeated and imprisoned Hushang Shah, the rulers of Malwa. Finding it difficult to control Malwa, he had, however, released Hushang Shah after a few years and reinstated him. Far from healing the breach, it had made the rulers of Malwa even more apprehensive of the Gujarat power. They were always on the lookout for weakening Gujarat by giving help and encouragement to disaffected elements there, be they rebel nobles or Hindu Rajas at war with the Gujarat ruler. The rulers of Gujarat tried to counter this by trying to install their own nominee on the throne of Malwa. This bitter rivalry weakened the two kingdoms and made it impossible for them to play a larger role in the politics of North India. Thank you everyone for tuning in. In the next part, we'll start with Mahmud Begara on page number 108 of the Medieval India book. On your screen, you can see some more videos belonging to the previous chapter and the playlist including all the videos that we have shot earlier. Thank you for tuning in. All the best for exams, and do share and subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Thank you everyone.